Aldi is offering a $40 Thanksgiving meal, and upon further review of the list, some things just don't work out. For example, on that list, within the $40 budget at Aldi, it gives you a canned pumpkin and pre-made frozen pie shells or pie dough, which is great, but you need other ingredients to make a pumpkin pie, and that's not on the list. There's also like a 10-pound bag of potatoes, but milk, butter, salt, pepper, well, salt and pepper are staples. Even milk and butter could be considered staples, which is probably why they didn't include it. But quite honestly, I am up for the challenge to make a full meal of everything you need to use within that $40 budget. So I worked my magic, I mommified it, and I am giving you the real $40 Aldi's Thanksgiving meal. It's $40 or less, and it's very good in my opinion. Okay.
Okay. What's the total you spend on this grocery shopping, right?
So I managed to make it right under $40, $36.08.
Wow. Great job.
Okay, I'm making a compound butter or margarine, so I'm going to mash that up, and I'm going to add some garlic powder into the mix. I had extra money within my budget, so an extra $1 for garlic powder works for this. So poultry seasoning, paprika, onion powder. I'm going to add salt and cracked black pepper. You could add 2 teaspoons of each of these. Well, the pepper may be a teaspoon, and just mix that up. By the way, you want to make sure you're working with a completely thawed turkey breast or turkey, and I had this in my fridge for 2 days. And I cut out the backbone portion because I'm going to make a broth with that. So the turkey breast, I have the underside here, and I'm just going to season that with all those same seasonings. And then I'm going to flip it over. And what you want to do is just separate the skin a bit and just add all that margarine, seasoned margarine, underneath the skin. And if you have a pantry filled with extra ingredients you can use it. I am just showing you what to use when you have a $40 budget and you purchase everything at Aldi. Here I've just seasoned the skin, and now it's ready for my preheated oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for about 2 hours. Okay, in a preheated oven, I'm adding my turkey, or the turkey breast, and it's bone-in turkey breast, and it's going in. Okay, so this is like the back part of the breast meat, the backbone, and I'm going to use that to make turkey stock. So here I have a pot. I'm going to add, that has some meat on it. I'm going to grab my celery and onion, and that's going to go into our pot. And I'm just going to let that simmer, boil for, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour. I just want to create some turkey stock. By the way, inside of the turkey breast package, it came with 2 of these bags of turkey gravy. And you want to make sure you keep refrigerated until ready to cook. And I also wash this with like soap and water because it's literally touching the raw turkey meat. But this could also help to create a really delicious gravy with the turkey stock we're going to create and that 1 package of brown gravy. So it all works. So I have a little bit of that margarine seasoning, like compound margarine slash pretend butter that I created. And I'm going to let this melt in the microwave for like 20 seconds. And I'll show you a little trick to get that like nice deep golden brown color on the turkey. Okay. So we got melted margarine that's seasoned. And I'm going to add this Chinese takeout packet of soy sauce and just pour that in there. And then towards the end, you just do a light brush over the skin and surface area, the exterior of the turkey, and it gives it that deep golden brown color. And that's the trick. And if you don't have the soy sauce, well, then, you know, you can just skip this step. I want to check. Ooh, that looks good. Okay, so here's that soy sauce, melted butter or margarine, seasoned margarine that we used on the turkey. I left some in the bowl. And you can just, you know, brush over the parts that aren't a nice golden brown color. It really does give the skin a nice color. There we go. And then I'm going to let it go. You want to make sure the internal temperature is, I believe it's 165 degrees Fahrenheit in the thickest part of the breast. But yeah, there we go. There we are. So the turkey breast is cooked. It took right around 2 hours. It just depends on how large and how cold or thawed the turkey meat is. That will determine the cook time, so it always varies, but just check with an internal like meat thermometer and make sure it hits around 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So now I'm just gonna let it rest. I'm not moving it. Okay, so now let's work on the stuffing. I'm doing it on the stovetop, and here I'm adding a whole stick of margarine. We're gonna sort of melt that down. I'm gonna crank up the heat a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna saute the onion and celery. Of course you wanna let the margarine melt. It's all gonna work out. Let's just dump it in here. Gonna add a pinch of salt, some pepper, and you're going to saute this until the onion is translucent and aromatic, along with the celery. You want it just to saute until it's softened. Okay, so here I have my 3 boxes of stuffing mix, the chicken flavor, and I'm going to use the chicken broth into this. Now you could use the broth that you created from the turkey trimmings, but I prefer chicken broth, and I'll use the turkey broth to create some sort of a gravy. I don't know, that's my choice. So I'm going to add a little bit of this poultry seasoning because, you know, we got it and I like it, and some onion powder. Let's go in with the onion powder, poultry seasoning, give that a mix, and it's almost there. Just add that in, give it a stir. Perfect. So I'm gonna just give this a mix. Of course, it's like super dry and crunchy. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna go with the chicken broth. I'm gonna add part of it. I don't want to oversaturate it just yet. I want to gauge. Oh yeah, it's gonna need more for sure. Probably the whole thing going right in. And if I do need extra, it depends how you like it. I might add water, but I think this is going to be enough. I'm going to stir this up. And this is going to be the stovetop stuffing mix the way I like it. Season and salt to taste and to your preference, but just keep letting this go, let it rehydrate and kind of, you know, you can get a little bit of a crust on the bottom, and this is pretty much going to be done. Okay, green bean casserole. We're going to open all of the cans that I need for this recipe. You'll want to drain all over the dirty dishes. Yeah, the kitchen's going to look like chaos when you're making a holiday meal. The can of evaporated milk. This is 12 ounces. Condensed cream of mushroom going in. Scrape that all out. I'm going to shake in some onion powder, cracked black pepper. Combine this really well. Now let's add the green beans. I drained them well. 2 cans going in. Pinch of salt to the green beans. A little more onion powder. And here are the French fried onions. I like to put part of those in the mix, like half. And the rest will go on top as a garnish. And then just mix it all together. Just like that. Pour it into your baking dish. I'm going to scrape everything out of this. There we go. Okay, I'm going to cover this with aluminum foil.
And if you don't have aluminum foil, use a metal or lightweight cookie sheet to cover the top.
So let's cover this. And we're going to bake this in a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 35 to 40 minutes. You want it bubbly and cooked. Okay, we're going to garnish this. We're going to put this on top. There we go, just a little bit, just a little bit. So we're going to shake that on. Oh, there we go. I'm going to just carefully do that. And that goes in for another like 5 minutes. Okay, let's take the green bean casserole out because it is done, and be careful, honey. Ooh, nice. Okay, so this is the green bean casserole. I have water here. I'm gonna bring it to a boil. I added salt. Ooh. Okay, so I removed the powdered cheese packages, and I have my box of macaroni pasta. So into the boiling water. Let's give that a mix. And I'm gonna let this boil. Once it comes back up to at least like a gentle boil or like a rapid simmer, I'm going to let it go for about 7 to 8 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to use, I guess 3 tablespoons of margarine, 3 to 4 tablespoons of flour, and evaporated milk to make a creamy like bechamel for the cheese sauce. Going in my pan, melt that down, and work with like a medium low to low heat. Okay, so this is where I want it to be, so I think 5 more minutes and it'll be done. Give that a mix. So here I have this like scoop. I'm going to shut off the heat because it's where I want it, and I'm just going to scoop out the macaroni, noodles, or pasta, and put it into my baking dish. By the way, the margarine's still. Let's just scoop that out. Okay, we're gonna shred the cheese. I'm gonna shake in, a little bit of paprika, and shake in some onion powder, and then we mix that around. I have 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Going to shake that in, and then we're going to make the roux and let this cook
for several minutes. I'm going to crank up the heat a little bit. And if you're like, oh, I need more margarine, okay, add a little more margarine. Okay, my can of evaporated milk going in. I'm just going to pour it all in. I want to just whisk and combine this into a creamy sauce. I'm actually going to add just a little bit of this margarine to my macaroni that's sitting here. I don't want it to get too clumpy before I have to mix in my sauce, so just do that. I'm going to add a little bit of water to the evaporated milk can, like halfway, and then add it here just a little bit. And then now that everything's sort of incorporated, you can sort of crank up the heat to bring it to simmer because it will thicken. I just didn't want to have it raging at a raging boil while I was still mixing in the flour. Okay, so I'm going to empty one package of this into my cream sauce before it thickens. Shake that in and just mix that. Mainly because I only have 8 ounces of cheese for 2 boxes of macaroni and cheese, so I think it'll work. Mix that in. Okay, so we have our shredded cheese. And then now I'm just going to add part of it into this and melt that in. And the rest is going to go on top for a cheese crust if I can get one. But yeah, you just work that in until it's smooth and creamy and thickened. I'm going to add some salt. And this is ready. Exactly where I want it. It has thickened perfectly. Nice. I'll tell you. Bring it to the center, honey. There we go. Okay, that's enough for right now. And then I'm going to mix this. And then we'll pour the rest in a minute. But look at this. This definitely will yield for sure 6 servings. Right here. There we go. Okay. Okay, and this is going to go, I have it at a 425 degree oven, like 15 minutes. I just want the top to melt and get crispy. Actually, I'm going to broil it. Okay, mac it. Ooh. Oh, that looks great. That's perfect. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, this is great. Okay, so we are going to work on the dessert. I have a bag of Gala apples. This is 3 pounds. I think I'm just going to rinse, peel, and slice this entire bag up. Okay, so I've chopped and sliced, I peeled, sliced all the apples. I'm going to be adding my light brown sugar. I like to eyeball, I'd say maybe like 3/4 cup. I'm just going to shake in some ground cinnamon, a pinch of salt, and I'm going to mix it with like a 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. Pinch of salt, shake in the ground cinnamon, the light brown sugar going in. I'm using 3/4 cup. A whole cup works. I don't know. The Gala apples tasted sweet to me. And then I'm going to shake in a 1/3 cup of that all-purpose flour. And you're going to want to combine and mix well.
I forgot to chop this. I'm gonna take like a tablespoon or so of this margarine and spread it on my baking dish.
Okay, let's make a crumble topping. I'm going to start with 1 cup of flour, a packed 1/2 cup of light brown sugar, and I'm going to sprinkle in don't know, maybe like a half teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Just mix that. Oh, also a pinch of salt. And now mix. If I had to guess the amount of salt, like a quarter teaspoon. Okay, so now that this is mixed, the rest of that margarine stick goes in, and you're just going to start breaking it apart and creating a crumble topping. Do this with a pie dough cutter, that works. I'm just going to break it apart because we are making an baked apple crumble, I guess is what we would call that. And this is my answer to if you just don't have money to create a pumpkin pie dessert utilizing the Aldi ingredient list. You just want to keep the $40 budget. This is a great alternative if you're shopping at Aldi. Create this delicious baking dish of apple crumble. Okay, this is almost where I need it to be. Okay, so see how it kind of comes together like that? That's what I'm looking for. So that was enough. Okay, and now just crumble it all on top, making clumps. Well, not that big, but yeah. And this is just gonna be delicious. It smells amazing. And if you can spring for vanilla extract or some pie shells, you could make like an apple pie. Okay, so this is going into the oven. Okay, so it's time for the crumble. Oh, that looks good. That's fine. And then we're gonna put it over here. There we go. Let's preheat that for the Mac. Oh, that looks good. And just let that hang out. Okay, so I have like 3.5 tablespoons maybe? Yeah, of margarine left out of that whole box. So we're gonna melt it. I think like equal parts, 3.5 tablespoons. Shake onion powder, going with the all-purpose flour. Give that a mix. Again, cook the flour for almost 2 minutes. You just want to make sure everything's combined and cooked out. So here I have a cup of cold water, and I'm going to add that 1 packet of gravy that we bought. And then just give it a mix. And remember that backbone? I'm going to take the meat and just put it in this bowl because it's going to go into my gravy. It's not going to yield a lot of the meat, but it'll do. Okay, so let's get some of this broth. I'm gonna strain it. That should be enough. Add my turkey. I'd say like a 1.5 cups of that turkey broth, because it really isn't a stock. It was more like a broth. A stock would have like intensified flavors, and I just boiled that. Okay. Work in all those lumps. Okay, back to this. And I'm gonna pour that in. And then we're gonna mix it all together. And let it gently simmer till it thickens. And if you need to add more of your broth to thin it out, do so. But for right now, I'm gonna mix this up and bring it to simmer. Taste for salt and seasoning and adjust to your preference. Okay, remember that shredded meat or the turkey meat that we boiled? And there we go, that goes in. And once it starts to thicken, it's ready.
And here's my $40 Aldi Thanksgiving meal, complete with a dessert. Okay, so this is just one side of the breast, half of it. This easily could be shared or served like 4 good servings. If you want to skimp a little bit, maybe 5, and you still have the other half. So 8 servings
of turkey, I believe, you could get from this breast. Maybe more if you bought the full turkey.
Okay, so now it's time to make a plate. And like I said, I think this could easily feed 6 to 8 people comfortably. And if you want single, smaller servings, you definitely can make it for 10 people. And if you do opt to buy the entire turkey, then you might not have extra for that garlic powder. But this is my Aldi $40 Thanksgiving meal, and I have to say, it looks amazing. So if you want to stay within a $40 budget, I will list everything that I purchased in the description below. And here is a shopping list. You can pause the video, screenshot this, and this is just a list of things to get for Simply Mama Cooks $40 Aldi Thanksgiving meal. But now I'm going in. This is a delicious meal with a $40 budget. For those of you looking to budget, if all you have is $40, you can buy every single ingredient and make this meal. Comment down below if you think you are going to try the Aldi $40 Thanksgiving meal, and drop a comment if you have any suggestions to help people out. Okay, I'm gonna finish this delicious meal. See you in the next video. Bye.